Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. This is The Amateur, where we're here just to talk about life, hobbies, ideologies, politics, what have you. And on today's episode, I'm going to be another dissenter in reacting to the trailer for Showtime's Everything's Going to Be All White. One of the most racist things that I've seen pushed out by the liberal media, like unbelievably so. And so for this, I will say that how I view racism is anyone who holds what someone looks like over what someone does, behaves, acts, thinks, says. Okay, so holding the looks of someone over what they actually do and what they say and what they think, what they believe. Okay, so that's how I'm defining racism. Because I know that there are different definitions going around, but this is absolutely racist, horribly so, and we'll go ahead and get started.
I think what annoys me most about white people is when they pretend like they're the victim.
Okay, pause. Already off the bat. What I hate about white people is when they pretend like they're the victim. And it's just like, switch the words of a white man or a white person was saying. What I hate about black people is when they pretend like they're the victim, because that's what everything is going on, especially with this Black Lives Movement. Like, we like the irony of not being able to see reality for what it is. Continuing.
What's also annoying is when they kill us.
What is Brad?
Pause again. I'm sorry. Okay, we're going to be able to get to this one pretty quickly, but it's just like, when they kill us, who is they and who is us? Okay, because we say these, but they say these things and it's just like, what do you mean? What do you mean? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Especially if you're just talking straight statistics, the most harm for another black man, like, that's going to happen to a black man is another black man. Like, the biggest threat to a black man is another black man. And sometimes it's a black woman because, abortion is the highest rate among the black population. So if you're really concerned about black lives, like, let's talk about that, because that's the bigger threat, like, actually, and not this racist ordeal. But continuing.
About whiteness when everything has been constructed around it.
Every part of who I am has been distorted or criminalized.
It's really just a bunch of white lies.
He thought that was so funny. But it's like stuff like this. And there was another TikTok, and I'll see if I can't find it. Where it was like, am I just looking for racist things, or is everything just built about race? It was something weird. I'll see if I can find the video. But essentially it was just like, everything is going to be about a particular aspect if you make it about that particular aspect. Do you understand? Like, I could go about, like, take the color black, like literally the color black. I can take this color black and look at everything else through that lens. Like, well, this isn't black, this isn't black, this is black, this is black. You know what I'm saying? So you can look at the word like that, but is it helpful? Is it conducive for anything? Like, yes, this isn't black, but also this has another color. It's blue, So it's like things like that. So that's one of the most frustrating things that I see about the racial narrative, is that it forces this worldview that is just totally twisted and warped. And from this, it's like, I'm not gonna say much. We're gonna keep going.
Storming the Capitol!
You're not patriots. You're ridiculous.
One of the definitions of American whiteness is ignorance.
Yeah, ignorance and people not knowing the full truths, and that's what this show isn't about to do. They're not about to get an objective truth on everything that's going on. It's definitely going to be biased towards one side. And like stuff like that, like, again, like, I'm from the South, the Confederate flag, I never had an issue with it. I get the connotations behind it, or the what it could mean as far as with you know, the South being in support. I mean, the Confederacy being in support of slavery. I never had an issue with it. Like, if people get offended, then I don't know. I don't really have. I'm not tied to the flag, if that makes any sense. But I wasn't also not offended by it. Like, it's a losing flag, obviously. Like, America, we're America and we're Americans, but it wasn't offensive. And then, like, hugging the American flag also isn't a bad thing. And, like, you go back to my last videos, like, I think our Americanness, or the values that we want to uphold as a country to be an American, needs to be, like, reestablished and reaffirmed, and just having those conversations about, and not focusing on race, because, like, race is, like, the dumbest thing that you can focus on. And it's like, stuff like this is what got Hitler going, and we think that we can just do the same thing and not see some of the results. Like, that's the most idiotic thing I've ever seen. Continuing.
White people, we are not your problem. You are.
Should white people today feel any responsibility for slavery?
Hell yeah.
Again, like, one of the dumbest things, like, this is, like, evidence that they're not teaching the right things in school. One, again, slavery was a global institution, all right? Like, white people have been enslaved, like, the Slavs. I've said this before, the Slavs created the origin of the word slavery. The Slavs were definitely white. White, okay? Middle Eastern, I don't care what you want to call it, but the fact that slavery came from the white folks being enslaved, like, that word itself, I know slavery happened before the Slavs came to be as a group of people, but just even an understanding of that word, like, that started with them. And then, as well as just everyone at some point has been enslaved. White enslaved white, black enslaved black, black enslaved white, white enslaved black. It's like, that's been a whole global institution. We don't talk about how it was the black folks selling their black folks into slavery in order to support the slave trade. We don't talk about how the first slave owner in America was freaking an African, like, legally. So it's just like, slavery was a problem. Slavery was an issue. It wasn't just the black man's problem, and white people aren't responsible for it, especially in the States where we had so much immigration happening. Like, half of the people of the white folks in this country didn't even have any part in slavery. Not to mention, again, the crimes of the son, the crimes of the father aren't paid for by the son, okay? Like, the son, like, the white people now, as far as I know, I can't say all of it because slavery and human trafficking still exist, still prevalent, still prominent, but it's like the majority of these people had no part in slavery. Like, we can't keep doing this. Can't keep doing this. That was a long rant. I'm sorry.
White Jesus or black Jesus?
Jesus was not white.
Think of geography. Ain't no way Jesus walked around with blonde hair and blue eyes.
Ooh. So this right here, I've got a lot to say about this right here. So Jesus wasn't black. Jesus wasn't white. He was a Jew. And that's all you need to know about him. Jesus was a Jew. What does that mean? We don't know, because Jews aren't a race. He could have looked at like anything. He could have been white, black, brown, purple, blue. It doesn't matter. What matters for him as being Christ was that he died for our sins. He died for a black man's sins. He died for a white man's sins. He died for Asian sins. He died for everybody's sins. And that's what needs to be known about Christ. Additionally, it's just the fact that any depiction of Christ is false. It's a false idol. It's a graven image that ought not be had, because we don't know. There is no truth in the picture of Jesus, or any picture of him, like even the man on the cross, even if it's in bronze or whatever, like even that is like, it's getting real close to breaking one of the 10 commandments. So just keep that in mind. And I think Vadi Bochum, I don't know if I pronounced his name right, I think he said that as well, as far as with like any graven image or any image or depiction of Jesus is, you know, it's a false idol, essentially, because it's not what Jesus truly looked like, because we don't know that. So what Jesus looked like should be irrelevant, and what's more important is what he did. And that's like everything that we should be doing in life. Like, it doesn't matter what you look like. I mean, it matters to an extent. Just what you look like should not matter as much as what the person does and what they do, okay? But yeah, so this whole black Jesus, white Jesus is one of the more stupidest arguments I've ever heard. Anything dealing with race is stupid, but here we go.
White culture fears the end of the world. For us as Native people, the end of the world already happened multiple times.
And talking about natives, I do have some Native ancestry. I'm probably like a Elizabeth Warren level. what was she, 1% Native or 0.25% Native? I don't know. But I like my great grandmother, I believe. Can't remember. Anyway, on my mother's side, there is some Cherokee somewhere, not significant enough for it to play with anything. But anyway, even then, speaking with the natives, even with the natives, they'd also owned black slaves, and for them, they weren't technically under the American law. So when the Emancipation Proclamation happened and they were taking their slaves with them as they had to be moved further west, it's they still kept their slaves even though the Civil War had been fought and ended. So it took longer for black slaves under Native American control to have been released and freed. So we don't talk about that either. And also, Native Americans were some of the most ruthless warriors, and I don't fault them for that. They needed to be. I mean, their reputation precedes them, especially in history, and it's not to come for them or anything. It's just understanding history, and that's why their fighter and warrior spirit is still honored in certain ways in some of the sports that we have. But it's let's not treat them as if they were some docile, helpless group of people, because a lot of them weren't. Some of them were. It's mainly the women and children who didn't have or presumed that warrior role, but neither here nor there.
Symbols and monuments, these are mementos of racism.
Bring that statue down. Put up a TCBY yogurt or something everybody can get behind.
The truth has to be told about history.
Yeah, the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And you're definitely leaving stuff out in this, especially when you're lumping a whole group of people by a particular look under one category, which is bad.
We have to make sure that these stories are told from our perspective.
There's always hope, you know what I'm saying? We don't give up.
It's about obliterating systemic and institutionalized racism.
That's a lie. That's a bald-faced lie. They don't want to eliminate it. If they wanted to eliminate it, they would stop talking about race and stop making people think race is the forefront of how we ought to see each other. Rather than, again, evaluating the character, evaluating what the person is actually doing, the different positions that both of them had before jumping to racist and racism as a conclusion. Because especially, again, with things like affirmative action, I'm pretty sure they don't want that one removed, and that is a racist concept. It really is, in favor of blacks and minorities or people of color, colored people. I still don't see the difference. But no, they don't want to end systemic racism. They don't want to end it. They want to switch the hierarchy. So they just want black folks or people of color or minorities or whatever to be on the top of the system, whatever. But they're not trying to eliminate it. Don't be fooled by that.
This is a wild place, y'all. It's a wild place. I know Harriet and Frederick be up there just what is they gonna do?
Okay, so I just want to talk about Frederick Douglass for a bit, because I know that he's been pertinent to some of Black history or American history, however you want to call it. But it's just he was also one of the male supporters of feminism, so I don't like him. I don't like him. I think feminism has been one of the worst things that happened to this country, that has enabled us to even get to this level of division, especially with transgenderism, not liberalism, but leftism, Marxism, and this huge divide, because feminism, again, watch my Eden round 2, just completely try to undersweep to be the biblical hierarchy that has been ordained, and any male who supported that was bamboozled or was trying to get some, because ain't no way, ain't no freaking way. But that's all I have to say about that. But yeah, so I don't know how people can look at this and not be just physically disgusted at the amount of racism that goes into it. And I don't know how people can look at this and not see the stark similarities to the propaganda that Hitler had pushed against the Jews, and just blaming an entire category for the country's problems. Like when I say that it's not about race is how we treat others, I mean that it's not about race, it's about how we treat each other. So the fact that this is paralleling to Hitler, and we're not like, the fact that we can't see this as a country, I mean, I think more people are speaking up about it, but it's just like, come on, people, let's get with the program. Do we want to go down that route again? Do we really? Because I really don't. Let's focus on the things that matter, and what you look like, your skin color, your phenotypes matters a whole lot less than what you do and how you act and how you behave. So this show, as far as I've heard, has got like a 3% audience score. Critics are too afraid to review it. Rightly so. All the people who did watch that first episode, more power to them. Couldn't be me. I might watch it just to see. No, I don't want to watch it. But man, those are just my thoughts. I don't know, I'm just amateur. So make sure you leave a comment to let me know what your thoughts are, and if you took anything away that was different from what I said, especially. But make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe, and I will catch you in the next video. Thank you for watching.